there's at least a general idea floating around that AI is going to replace coders, it's going to replace programmers over the next little while. But I would think that because of that, there's maybe a little bit of a different relationship with, say, your team members and AI. Am I correct in this assumption?
Yes, no, very true. A lot of people who would not have otherwise gotten close to the coding or gotten close to building products are now getting close to that. And on the other side that, coding will be completely replaced. Do you really need coding? Or do we really need to debug something? Because you can quickly build some stuff. What if something is broken? But I do see there is real value for a non-technical person with AI where they can hands-on build something because they are first-hand empathizing. I see this is the other way around now. This is a time for a non-engineer, non-programmer to get empathized with engineer.
We're going through something absolutely historic.
Technologies across the board are growing exponentially.
It's a disruption that's going to completely redefine the way businesses compete.
In the next decade, we're going to lose 40% of today's Fortune 500 companies.
The exponential growth of computing is continuing.
AI is nowhere near its full potential.
Whether you like it or not, that the future cannot be stopped by anyone.
Welcome back to the Future Tech and Foresight podcast. I'm your AI host, Mark Verbenkov's deepfake avatar, and this is episode number 221. AI is rapidly changing how teams collaborate, communicate, and build products, but its real impact depends on how leaders choose to integrate it. In this episode, the conversation examines AI's shift from a productivity tool to a collaboration partner, drawing on real examples from software development, team communication, and digital transformation. The discussion highlights how AI can break down silos, improve shared understanding, and amplify team effectiveness when used intentionally. The episode dives into the evolving role of engineers and knowledge workers, where boundaries between coding, design, and business thinking are increasingly blurred. Rather than replacing engineers, AI is accelerating skill expansion and enabling non-technical teams to better understand technical work. The conversation also addresses common fears around technological unemployment, reframing AI as an augmentation layer that delivers meaningful, but not limitless, productivity gains. The discussion concludes with a focus on leadership and culture. As AI becomes more embedded in daily work, leaders must prioritize empathy, psychological safety, and human connection to avoid over-reliance on automation. The episode ultimately argues that the future of work is not about choosing between humans and AI, but about building cultures where technology enhances collaboration while preserving creativity, judgment, and meaningful human interaction. Now, a little bit about the guest. Bala Muthiah is an AI evangelist and transformation leader championing decentralized AI strategies for rapid enterprise adoption. As an internal AI catalyst at Lyft and advisory board member for early-stage startups across Africa and Asia, he helps organizations unlock AI value without waiting for vendors or central mandates. Passionate about modern leadership and people development, Bala believes AI transformation succeeds when empowered teams, not just tech departments, drive change. His work combines technical strategy with emotional intelligence to build cultures where every function can confidently adopt and own AI innovation. Great. Well, Bala, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast today. We're going to be talking about artificial intelligence and teams, and I'm sure there's going to be some labor and employment ideas in here, which for you, we didn't mention before, but the first 100 episodes of the podcast was focused on technological unemployment and the issues and interesting things when it comes to tech, AI, and labor. So I'm glad to have you on to kind of discuss about this and many other things, I'm sure. So thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Mark. Yeah, it's finally got to meet here, and yeah, very glad to be here and talk to you about it.
Great. The way that I like to start all of these discussions is to get a little bit of a better sense about the guest that's on. So, if you could tell us a little bit about what drew you into, say, artificial intelligence or some of the work that you're doing, I think it would be a wise place to start at the very least.
Yes, definitely. AI, artificial intelligence, is definitely an exciting term. It's been going on around, but being in tech, it's not very new or novel. It's been around for a while now. Particularly what drew me is, like, if I go back, let's say 10 years ago, that's when I became a leader. right? From being an individual, someone who goes and codes, transformed into a leader. The reason for that transition is ability to scale my impact as a individual coder or a programmer. Whatever you're doing, you will have impact, but it's very a single person output, right? When you want to scale, when you see the potential of people around you, and when you want to create a much larger impact, then being at leadership role was one of the clear paths, and I took that. And I applied a similar lens for AI too. The big potential I see is not about day-to-day pain points. It's more about the scale and reach it can go. That really drew me into it. One is 1 to 10x is a leadership. So what can AI do to that? Like it's 10x to 100. It's really exponential. It's not going to be a linear. That really drew me, and I started applying techniques here and there. And the impact of that I can see, and future I'm really, really excited about. I'm not the Terminator coming and taking over. I'm more like a much more utopia kind of believer with AI. So that is my draw.
Perfect. Well, I think that's very similar to myself and to many other people that listen to the podcast and are just generally interested in this new AI era that we're moving into. Right? It's how do we leverage this crazy and interesting technology to potentially have fewer work days or get more
Yes.
accomplished, or whatever kind of goal you want to maximize for. Um, Maybe a good place to start is a little bit before this current AI age. I've obviously had many guests on in the past, and from many different industries. One thing I like to kind of get a sense of is, so I mean, you found yourself into this leadership role about a decade ago. AI, which we're going to speak about, talks about the maximization, the should we say, increasing potential of individuals and teams.
Mhm.
But that's one technology. How about before this current AI age? Were you finding other tools and technologies to do something similar, or was it really AI come about? Okay, now we're gonna maximize efficiency, etc.
No, that is a great question. Definitely with every evolution of technology, right? When back in the day, when I started working, we were using polygons with only voice. Right now, I cannot imagine a team meeting happening without a video. If someone has their video off, they explicitly say, "Hey, I have to have my video off because of X, Y, Z." It has become a second nature now. But going back, it was purely audio calls, right? Then when we went to video call, this is again before AI, that gave a very different perspective. You can speak to someone who's very remote. It was not just a voice you are hearing over a phone and reacting to it. Especially in one-on-one conversations, as a leader, video call really changed the game. So you can see their expression, body language, as we all talk about like how communication is not purely verbal. Like there is non-verbal cues, body language, and sentiments, emotions. Everything was very easy with video. You can see somebody, you can understand somebody, and then the silent communications happened through that. So that was one unlock, I would say. Another one I really felt that technology unlocked for leadership is access. Before, if you are a leader, like not necessarily like a CEO, even at any level, right? A manager or a director or VP, you are not that accessible to your team. There might be some kind of town halls, all hands, team meetings, stuff like that, where you show up and then you talk and you prep your team. Even as a manager, you would not go to your team often or not readily available. Then when systems like Slack came, right, instant messaging, you can reach out to someone. Like you can just Slack your CEO today, right? They are on Slack, you're on Slack. It's made it very accessible for people. And then with remote work, again, much more opening. So these are little technological advancements people started, I would say, adopting without realizing what new domain it's opening up. So pre-AI world, that's what I see as unlocks that has been happening. And in a way, it primed us all to this moment where AI has come, and now we know how to work with Slack. So we translate that to ChatGPT or talking to Claude. So everything that we learned, we are able to now translate and apply in the new world.
Yeah, that's an interesting way of thinking about it. All these, I don't want to reduce their importance, but we can say like these minor technological improvements primed us for all of this. Even though I don't think that they're minor in any stretch of the imagination. Like I run a remote team, and it's wouldn't be possible without Slack and Zoom and
Yes.
all these other things. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I like that idea. So this new AI age really kicked off. I mean, we're recording this, what is it, October 17th, so almost exactly 3 years ago with ChatGPT. But AI has been around, obviously, a little bit more than that. Within your teams, were you using AI before the generative AI age exploded upon us? And well, maybe we can start with there, and then I'll
Yeah.
some other stuff there. Yeah.
Totally. You're right? Like even what we call AI today is a super broad term. It's a very big term, and everything is floated under that thing. And back in the days when, let's say, pre ChatGPT became a mainstream thing, like the business I work for, Lyft, and the business is predominantly rideshare, right? You have to match a driver and a rider when a request is made. So there were models, so machine learning things were happening. So it is not that every use case was an AI use case, but definitely there were heavy use cases which the core business was using. Like even folks working in Gmail, for example, right? They might have had a spam filters. Those were all already using some sort of AI without even, noticing the auto suggest as you type emails. They were using AI even before. So my teams, we have been using being close to tech and working with models.
Yeah.
This is back in 2017. I am primarily an engineering leader, but I got a stint to go do 6 months of product management. So for that product, we built a recommendation engine, which was a neural network where if you take 10 courses, then it'll recommend you what is the next one to take. This is specifically useful in the enterprise corporate environment where employees are having internal access to learning and development. So companies want to recommend things based on what they have taken in the past. So we built a model, we built a recommendation engine. So this is pre-AI neural network, pure machine learning, and how we built on top of that.
And so now with the generative AI age, how have things shifted? I can talk from my own side. I have multiple screens, and ChatGPT is here kind of all the time, right? Which I think is very similar to most people, whether it's Copilot or Claude or Perplexity or etc. But how have things changed for you and your team with this new age that we're in?
Yeah, there is a lot of excitement, definitely. So being in tech, again, my team is predominantly engineering. So they're very close to the tech and where it's happening. So pretty much whatever they are doing, they can directly apply it effectively. And also externally, there is a hype, right? There is real value and there's definitely hype. So we all get tempted. So I tell my team this. I'm also a big fan of psychology and how brain works and everything. I feel the current AI tools has given us some kind of dopamine. You want to use it. You feel really good when you start using it, right? When you talk to ChatGPT, when you get a response, you feel, oh wow, I'm really smart. Oh, I'm able to articulate this
Right,
well.
right.
So you consistently have this dopamine hit. Um, like if I take the AI out of the equation, right? You are a builder. You are creating something. When you build something, you have a sense of happiness. That's what I would put it as the oxytocin hormone, right? Like really, when you do finish a workout, you feel very happy because you have completed something, a task, an achievement, a goal. So now with AI, it's a combination of both. You get the dopamine instantly, and you also have the oxytocin of finishing a task. So people are jumping right in. Of course, it's not all roses. There are challenges, there are hiccups, what works, what doesn't work. But people are, I would say, training the dragon. They are learning how to ride the dragon, how they know where it does well, where it doesn't do well. We have a like bi-weekly share outs on, hey, what worked, what failed, and even AI fails. Oh, I tried this and this is the ridiculous thing it gave me. And oh, I tried this amazing thing came out of this. So there are various use cases. The team is excited, and we are constantly learning from each other.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very interesting. I think from what I want to ask you, there's kind of like two different perspectives, right? There's the top down and then maybe the bottom up here. So you're a leader. You're managing dozens of people, I'm assuming.
Mhm.
What kind of thinking do you have to use or have to push, maybe I would assume everybody's using ChatGPT or some sort of AI
Yeah.
chatbot.
Mhm.
So you already have a very motivated kind of self-starting team. Like, where is your value in pushing certain things as it relates to AI to your team?
Got it. Great. No, great question. So I see my value twofold. Right? As you mentioned, like I have an organization, with almost 100 people, and there's also top-down excitement. Like looking at media, every company where they are transforming, and like how they are getting into new way of doing things. So there's excitement, and even at a C level, there is excitement. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
next year we go achieve this, we go do this, we want to transform this organization into more AI native, and how do we get there? So there is a lot of excitement, but
Mm-hmm.
on the other side are people on the foot who are already using it, but the excitement is not going to be fully there, or like the drive and push is not going to be fully there, because sometimes it doesn't work. Like I said, there are bad examples of things failing, and you have to learn your tool. And before that, if you try a couple times, it's going to fail, and you can easily give up, because you will still be able to do your things faster without trying to learn this and do. There's a learning curve, and there is an inertia. Oh, I have done this, especially with senior people. They have done their master of craft. So they don't want another tool to give them another 5% boost. So they don't see a good value there. So there is some resistance. And now my role comes in as a bridge. How do I take the excitement and don't get overexcited, right? There are CEOs out there who are making statements about, oh, 90% of our code is from AI, or we can replace X number of workforce, without having concrete evidence, even though study after study, the studies are telling us that the actual productivity gain may not be as much as we think. A recent Stanford study quoted it's around 15%. And the MIT did a study on coding. There are quite a few studies, but as CEOs, their job is to inspire us and push us beyond, right? That's their goal. And me as a leader, how do I translate it to realism? Like, what can I take from there? How do I use to inspire my team, not create it as a mandate, create it as a fear or a constraint? Oh, everyone has to use this, or else why? So that's not going to be a very productive way to do things. So my role I see is a translator. How do I get the excitement and translate into something more meaningful? How do I understand the friction at the bottom and remove the friction? So meeting these two things together and moving forward is what I see as my role now.
Interesting. Um, because you're working with programmers, engineers, etc. I would think also, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I would think also that the relationship to these, whether it's ChatGPT or otherwise, might be a little bit different than, say, like marketers or accountants, etc.
Yeah.
Um, and I think part of that reason might be because, for what is it, a decade or two, people have been saying, well, if you wanna succeed, go become a coder, right? Go become a
Yeah.
programmer, get those skills. And now, maybe some of these CEOs are a little bit out to lunch, but there's at least a general idea floating around that AI is going to replace coders, it's going to replace programmers over the next little while. You don't seem to think so. Um, I don't know. I'm not one, but I would think that because of that, there's maybe a little bit of a different relationship with, say, your team members and AI. Am I correct in this assumption?
Yeah.
And if you want to elaborate on it?
Yes, no, very true. Like a lot of people who would not have otherwise gotten close to the coding or gotten close to building products are now getting close to that. Living in San Francisco Bay Area, when I drive into work, I see billboards, right? Hey, things like, oh, now your designers can ship product. Or, oh, now your PMs are your one-man team or like one-person team. So you see a lot of billboards influencing us subtly, like what they want to do. And on the other side that, oh, coding will be completely replaced. Do you really need coding? Or do we really need to debug something? Because you can quickly build some stuff. What if something is broken? So there are, at this point, it's more like looking into crystal ball and telling what's going to happen. But I do see there is real value for a non-technical person with AI where they can hands-on build something because they are first-hand empathizing. I see it as this. We always talk about engineers should go in front of customers, right? Hey, go see what your customer is doing with your product, empathize, understand. So we talk about a lot of empathy. We ask engineers to go be a shadow in sales call. We ask the engineers to go be a shadow in a marketing call. Go to customer visits. I see this is the other way around now. This is a time for a non-engineer, non-programmer to get empathized with engineers.
Great.
What does it make to really build something? How frustrating it could be when it is not working, when you have to debug. Right? Yes, you can put a prompt and you can build an app in one prompt. There are like single prompt apps now, but it's good for prototyping, for marketing, sales team, people quickly show something to the customers, get real-time feedback. 100%, very, very valuable. But that is the use case. You can't go for the productionizing it without real engineering, because engineering is a craft. It's going to take time for these models to come to that level of understanding. It won't be completely replacing it. Maybe we will be a little bit abstract. Like when I started coding, we had to go line by line. And I started coding in Visual Basic. Basic, you have to do line numbers and code. Like, hey, we're at line number 1, go to line number 3, and then do the else condition. And when high-level programming languages came, we kind of started doing more English. Okay, let A be 10, let B equals 7. Now give me A plus B. So now I see this as a next evolution. You are even more abstracted. You can probably converse with it, talk to it, and then make it code. So I see that is the evolution and not completely replace. And a 3-letter, like a 3-sentence prompt is going to help you run a production level app.
Right. So, as has come on many of these podcast episodes, right? It's AI, specifically in this case, this generative AI seems more like an augmentation tool than a replacement tool. Which I think the debate is more or less settled for now. Who knows in 10 years' time, right? But I think for now, it's kind of generally accepted as an augmentation tool. Connected to this, you mentioned the efficiency gains. 15% or something like that from a couple reports out there. How is that changing your team's culture? Is there, and I guess this is also like where your role is situated.
Yes.
Okay, so there's 15% across the whole team, let's say for the sake of argument. Is there excitement about, oh, now we can do 15% more? Or is it time to relax? Or like what's happening within the team and specifically the team culture with this new augmentation?
Yeah, no, this is great. I see that the 15%, let's say we are flat getting 15% productivity or 20%, right? Some number. To get there, there's a learning curve, right? So initially it's going to be more than that, like meaning you have to go slow to go fast. So initial, as a leader, when you're setting OKRs for your team, when it comes to AI adoption mainly, it's not that, oh, year 1 or H1, H2, you have to already achieve a certain goal. I would say it's about, let's take time to learn this tool now. Let's learn, first understand this tool, how it works, what it is good for, what it is not good for. Then I'm going to learn to use this tool. Then with my practice, with my hands there, I would understand what's really happening. So theoretical, then more practical. Now you have a realistic baseline. Then you start doing. For the teams that have successfully gone there, I would say there is more excitement, to answer your question. And the time that they're getting their benefit, they're putting it back in understanding customers, like going deeper in other areas which they would not go otherwise. Like I'm an engineer, let's say I usually wait for my product manager to give me something because I have so much hours in a day, I can code.
Mhm.
Now that, let's say if I get the time back, I see these people going to other conversations. Oh, I'm going to sit in more with sales to understand what's happening. And what is more tactically I found, or like very, very, wow, this is concretely helping, is because this team, which is much more techy, have understood and unlocked, they are showing how to apply that to other orgs. Like they're not using AI for coding, right? Like only engineers are using it. But other orgs might be putting up a presentation, or they might be putting at a pitch. So they're teaching them, showing them how can AI be embedded into their workflows. Because there is no product manager who is coming and sitting with a salesperson to understand their day job and optimizing it. Of course, there are products out there, they are putting AI into it, but every organization has a custom process, custom flow, custom steps. So how can you tweak and do? That's a lot of things. An example I can say is we have a support team. Like these are like support agents who take calls from customers. So one of the engineers, what they did was there's so many questions that keep coming to this team. And support agents would have to go through so many documents, understand how the feature works, or whether it's applicable, not applicable, things like that. And they have to respond. So this person took a lot of data documentation that we have internally, our historic issues, our learnings, put it all in Notebook LLM, the Google's one, and they shared the notebook with these support agents. Now the support agents are starting to use that. When there's a question, they're able to respond really fast, and they are able to learn and even give feedback to the notebook. So something is outdated in the documentation, then that could be corrected. So it's a very, I would say, like a flywheel of positive impact. And this is not an engineer's job to go and help a support on day one, but hey, this is an exciting tool. I am using it and you can use it. Now it's collectively benefiting. So that propagation is happening more meaningful for the company.
Very, very interesting. I would also assume that this is going to increase as these tools get a little bit more powerful. Let's say you go from 15 to 20 to, I don't know, 25, 30, 40% efficiency. It enables, I guess, multiple individuals in an organization to understand, as you were saying, and maybe even empathize with other departments that they would maybe never or very, very rarely interact with. Do you think that this is going to, I don't want to be too outlandish here, but like change the nature of work in a more fundamental way in the next couple of years, where people are way more collaborative, or organizations, just as the nature of how things are changing, become more integrated from these siloed teams in the past?
Yes, I see that future is definitely happening. Mm, Again, I don't have a crystal ball to tell me the time, but it's also, I have a hunch that it's going to be more than 2 years. The reason I say this is, let's talk about digital transformation, right? Let's talk about um, everything people were doing manually. We started converting into digital, right? So let's say I had to call someone to make a reservation. Now we made a website where you can make the reservation. So that's the digital transformation. So you are doing something manually, then you convert it into a digital form. So you can go to a website or open your phone and open the app and make that happen. With AI, we are just applying AI to the digital transformation thing. We are not really taking it one step further. So, hey, there was a manual process. We converted that into a digital process. Now the AI solutioning is all being applied to the digital process. But if you really know the power of AI, you will start questioning whether should I think about 4 steps to complete a reservation in my restaurant? Is there a better way to do that? Can I capture the intent? What do I want to do? I want to have Chinese food today. So I go, I put in all the details, and then I search a restaurant, make a reservation. So do I need to go through all the steps in a form? Because that's what I was doing before. Versus how do you remove some of the steps that is not needed? Today we have 10 steps and we are trying to apply AI to every 10 steps. The day will come where we will realize, oh, you do not need 10 steps. Then what you are saying will happen. The way we work, the roles, what kind of job we do, and is it a homogeneous job, or am I going to do multiple role here? That will all happen. But that thinking will be after. We are applying to what we know today.
Yeah.
Then we will build new things that we thought, oh, maybe not needed before. Now it's a new use case.
So following from this, as a leader, are you going to be looking for different skills in individuals in, say 3 years, 4 years time from now? I would assume that the template of the type of person that you're looking for to fill in a position now is going to be, maybe not completely different, but certainly slightly different in, again, let's pick a time period, 4 years from now.
I would say yes. And the subtext there is people are already building that skill. So
Right.
we saw this happening when the mobile revolution came. Like I have been working with engineering teams. I was an engineer even before mobile became a thing, right? We were building desktop applications.
Mm-hmm.
When you do desktop application, there's only so many desktop application you can build, and you won't be a user for everything. When mobile came, when I started building mobile applications, I could be a user for most of the mobile applications. I could be building a mail app. Like I could be a user of that. So, and then on a given day, pre-mobile, you might interact with maybe 5, 6 different applications, right? Maybe you used your work for something. If you're not working in a tech or a digital company, the chances you will interact with an application is very minimal. Like let's say if you're a barista in a coffee shop, you would probably be working with the building machine. That's all. But today, somebody could be a barista in a coffee shop, but they have a mobile app and they're using at least 20 apps. That means they know how an app works, how they want it to work. They're in turn becoming a product manager. They're saying, oh, you know what? I really don't like this flow. I wish I could pay this very differently. Oh, every time I have to save this location on my map, can it automatically remember where I want to go when I do? So you start to come up with ideas because you're using these apps and you are getting the pain. And I noticed after mobile revolution, people started wearing product managers hat a lot, and even UX, especially after Apple. Oh, I wish it looks really sleek. I want a very minimal design. I don't want a clumsy nature. People started building design angles and skills. Like in 1990s, when you're using enterprise application, you really don't care about how it looked. All you need to know is how to make it work. But then now we are very picky. I want my button to look so sleek. I want the animations to look. So now you are becoming a designer at one point. So when engineers I'm hiring today, they come in with a lot of product thoughts, a lot of design thoughts, even though they went to school to code. Right? How did it happen? Because of how the environment changed. That is what I see will happen when AI becomes much more mainstream. So people will automatically build those things. They don't have to think about special skills. And I believe you are right. We will need such heterogeneous skilled person, but they will be ready. And people who are now, I can see them going into those conversations, right? Talking earlier, I went to marketing call. I want to shadow a sales call. So they're picking those things up because they see the value of end-to-end the development experience.
Super interesting. So with okay, so my question's maybe a little bit elaborate here. You're saying previously there was this bucket or category, if you will, of designers, or not designers, but programmers who knew design. Now this next bucket is going to be programmers that know design and other aspects of the business.
Yes, other aspects. Yes.
Okay, so in the first bucket, when you had programmers that could also know design, were there issues with the previous bucket, which is just people that could code and didn't know design? And if there were, how is a bridge made between those type of people?
No, really insightful one to think about, because this is also, we talk about future of workforce, right? Hey, what's going to happen to people who are not catching up, who are not getting there? There is definitely a contrast, because when you have something, I've been in times where even within engineering, right? We don't even have to talk about design.
Mm-hmm.
Within engineering, there's like someone who does mobile, someone who does purely backend server stuff. So someone who does both is going to be more valuable because they can flex. When you want to do something really fast, when you want to go to market really fast, you can flex. If you take a regular example, like someone who can drive and someone who can do something else. So it has an added advantage. So that comes to it, and everyone starts to flex a muscle a little bit. People like engineers before, they wouldn't, let's say, do certain tasks about stakeholder management. So today, stakeholder management is part of an engineering role. So people who are not there, they would, I've seen people come up and go there. I don't think they become obsolete or anything. I've always seen people pick up and then get to there. The speed at which that one bucket of pure coding person coming into this bucket of coding plus design may be slow for some people, but eventually they will get there because that's how the world moves. I've never seen anyone, oh, I cannot, because these are smart people. They're not going to be, I'm going to give up because this is something I'll never do, or this is never going to come up. Even people who coded in like mainframe, they migrated. Like everything happens, that migration always happens.
Right. Okay. So there's going to be maybe a bit of a time lag, but eventually there's going to be these buckets are going to merge.
Merge. And
Yeah.
also, yeah, the buckets are merging is the good point actually, because the boundaries are, the roles and boundaries are becoming more and more intertwined. It's becoming gray. It's not a clear cutoff. It's becoming more gray, like shared responsibilities.
Interesting. Okay. So then following from that, what about programmers interacting with, say, sales or marketing or HR or something like that, and not just interacting like, oh, we have a meeting together. It's actually collaborating together. I run a very small organization. There's 10 of us here, but there's clearly some times where there's issues with communication or collaboration, or there's this new project together and two people don't work well enough together for XYZ reasons. I don't want to focus too much on the issues, but do you think that there's an opportunity here, or a tool or some way where AI can help, make potential risks be aware to, like, you as a leader here?
Yeah.
Is that something that you could elaborate on?
Yeah, definitely. It is interesting how people put tools to use. I'll share an example, which in a way fits to what you're talking about. But I'll start with the example and then I'll translate how it goes to your example.
Perfect.
So there was this person, they take things to review, right, to their manager. Like, hey, I did my work. I want you to review. It's purely like something the manager has to review, that kind of role. And they started doing this and they noted like what kind of questions their manager is asking and stuff. So this person, they use Gemini. We at work use Gemini for meetings and Cloud and other things. Like we have pretty much everything. So during meetings, for review meetings, we started taking notes. Like Gemini will do a good job. Gemini is the Google AI tool. It started taking notes. It will give you transcript and everything. So he started taking notes for a series of review meetings. So there was like, let's say 5 or 6, whatever, every week it happens. So after like couple months, what this person did was they took all the notes from the last 8 meetings and they put it in Gemini to give a full transcript. And they put it on another tool, Claude, to ask them to create a persona of their manager. Like, how is this person thinking? What kind of questions they're asking? What is their thinking process? And they added their own inputs. Like, hey, this is what I think my manager's style is, like what they are curious about, what they look for. And from the last 8 reviews, now you can tell me what they look for. So they created a persona. And then when they had a new review, they go and put that in there. Hey, this is what I'm taking to review. Now you play a role, act as my manager with the context I gave you and give me critical inputs. So it started giving, of course, we can't just take AI assets. The person using it has to be smart. So this person is smart enough to do this, and they're really smart to understand what to take and what not to take. And it definitely gave them some blind spots. Hey, this is something they might ask. Okay, let me go prepare. And they went to the review. It was really like one of the days was really black and white, like completely changed, because the output was, oh, I was going to ask you, you already have this covered. That was the manager's response. And then this person then shared that technique with everybody. Hey, this is what I learned. This is what I did. And this is what you could do. Now, if I were to apply with your thing, like now I'm collaborating with somebody from a different department, I can ask the AI to think like them, like based on past, or hey, take a role, like do a role play. Critically tell me what I'm looking, what I'm not looking. If I'm thinking from this other person's seat, what should I know? then I go much more prepared. Or even ask questions like retrospectives. We do a lot of retrospectives to look back when something goes wrong, understand, okay, what could go wrong potentially in future. So you are not going to take whatever it is giving and just slap it on, but at least it will give you a perspective that you might not have thought about, right? It might give you 10. Let's say 9 is rubbish. It's completely fine. You get that one valuable thing that you have not thought about. As long as the person is smart enough, then you can put that one and make your work better.
Very interesting. Yeah, to me, it kind of sounds like, and again, like looking towards the future, I see our time is winding down here a little bit. To me, it kind of sounds like right now you need to have somebody who's smart and capable and aware of how to use AI properly to be able to get this kind of benefit to kind of collaborate properly with somebody and maybe even foresee what the person's going to be asking for and give them the things that they're requesting. But in a couple of years, if we're following this trend where AI becomes more and more user-friendly, even somebody who doesn't really know how to use, these chatbots properly, there might already be a persona created within, I don't know, ChatGPT for the sake of everybody on my team. And then before I go into a meeting, I can say, well, what does Sarah want? What does John want? And then already have so it could like in my mind incredibly facilitate teams working together. It could be, I don't know, AI could mutate into like a collaboration tool rather than an output tool. Is that kind of what you're thinking is going to happen too?
Yes, not only in teams, I'm thinking even in other areas of life, it's going to happen. It's going to be much more like you can already see a lot of other professionals are also using this. Like, hey, how do I augment? Like even construction people are taking pictures and doing things differently with that, which they would not do otherwise. To your point, you're right. Like the tools are becoming much more easy. The barrier to entry is very less. Again, the best way to look at predict future is to look at the past. Like 20 years ago, nobody had mobile phones. And when 10, 15 years ago, when WhatsApp came, now pretty much everybody uses WhatsApp. Like my grandmother, like great grandmother, they know how to use WhatsApp to video call and FaceTime. It's unimaginable 10 years ago, even though mobile phone was there at that time. And people are using same way AI tools too, ChatGPT. Like now, in a way, personally for me, I haven't Google searched in a while. Everything I go to Perplexity because it's much more clear. Unless I want to know where to go exactly, I don't know if that place is there or not. That's the only reason I use Google search. Otherwise, it's Perplexity. So people are moving away from search. Like even search query load is very less compared to how it was before. Google is reporting this. Google started introducing AI mode. So things are getting much more accessible. Like every step we take in the evolution makes the next step much easier. That's what the mobile and AI has taught us, and that's how it will continue to go.
Right. Super interesting. I wasn't planning on this, but I kind of want to switch things a little bit in the last 5 or 10 minutes we have here, Bala.
Sure.
So it's connected to what we were talking about. Don't worry. So there's also a negative or potential negative aspect to all of this, right? There's many, many things that we can talk about, but I think the one that I want to focus on is the over dependency on AI, which I think we're starting to see now, right? So I have a couple of younger people working for me, and you know, they were in school and they're already using ChatGPT. And now I ask them to provide something. Well, they can only do it with ChatGPT. It's very difficult for them to create something, to write something without ChatGPT. If we're extrapolating this to what you were saying, where AI is going to be the medium in which we're starting to communicate, it kind of seems like real human interaction might be limited if, I'm using could you elaborate on this and give me your thoughts on this?
Yes, definitely. That is a scary part for sure, right? Like, hey, where if you that's what I think is the beauty of humans. We are not blindly jumping in. There are people like us talking about it. There are quite a few um, forums and communities and think tanks thinking about, hey, what is the real impact of this? There was a recent study talked about the effectiveness of reading and writing, right? How it really retains in your brain. Like even when Kindle came up, there was this fear that, oh, all the bookstores are going to go away. But we have seen that more and more people are going back to physical books. Physical books sales continues to increase. Of course, how we get those books has changed. You order online, you get it. You don't go to a bookstore. There are not that many bookstores, but still the reading part is there. This is where we come in, like all of us as leaders and people in the society and community, we have to make sure that is not forgotten. Like interviews are the same, right? Like we do interviews now. It's very hard to say whether someone is looking at a chat GPT screen, like you mentioned earlier. It's over there, don't worry. Exactly. Like, are you answering me with that or are you just answering me? It's very hard to find out these days. Right? Can you make in-person interview all the time? No, that's not going to be possible. So reminding like the human value and knowing how to use any tool, the fear has always been there, right? From when electricity was invented to phone to always there. But this time it's more than those fears because it can really replace, it can really make someone dumb because for everything you only rely on that and you stop doing it. We have to intentionally make decisions, human centric approach. There are many think tanks talking about that, like responsible AI and human centric approach. Like quite a few things are happening. So I believe in humanity to be strong enough to hold that fort. So we don't go into this dumb zone of, okay, I can't even do 1+1 anymore.
Right.
Yeah. So in a summary, I would say, I believe we humans can hold that and continue to retain that and not go into super zombie mode.
Right. Okay. Good. Well, then maybe the final point that's connected to this is so there's hope for that to happen or not to happen.
Yes.
But as a leader yourself, as a manager of many people, how do you facilitate this? How do you help to avoid it? How do you guide and navigate people so that this negative scenario doesn't come about?
One thing I have found useful to do is to make more person-to-person collaboration happen, right? Meaning, hey, you might have a very vague idea. Don't just go to Claude or ChatGPT already and create a document and share with somebody and say, this is my idea, review it. Like talk to the person, like brainstorm with somebody. You don't have to create a picture perfect or a fit and finished, polished version of a output. Like talk to somebody. So today we have this untold or unset expectation that, oh, everything I create as an output should be perfect because I'm being evaluated there. As a leader, if you take that barrier and create a psychological safety where, oh, I can come with stupid ideas and talk to my coworker and then brainstorm, then you are creating a space where that culture of sharing, culture of talking about things, culture of whiteboarding exists, and it will improve each other's intelligence instead of creating silos where, oh, I'm going to do a great work, then I'm going to use a tool. I'm not even going to think about it. I'm going to pass it on to somebody. They are going to review. So fostering collaboration and removing the fear of perfection. Like you don't have to be perfect. You are not evaluated for every single work you produce. That will encourage people because if my neighbor, let's say my coworker is creating something at a very fast rate, and I don't want to be the slow one to go brainstorm something while they keep cranking code. So you need to set the bar right. You're not going to be evaluated by speed. You're going to be evaluated for quality and thoroughness. And how do you do that collaboratively? As a leader, you can set the bar. That's completely in your control. That's why, like, I am not a fan of a CEO saying 100% of the code you write should be AI. That's not going to really take you anywhere. It takes away a lot of things. It might on paper appear good, but the reality is not the case. So as leaders, we set clear success boundaries and definitions to make sure that doesn't happen.
Interesting. So maybe the future is a little bit more human than what we're all expecting it to.
Future will be more human in my perspective. Like there will be a wave like everything else, like where we will be tired of this. The benefits are going to be there, which is good, right? Reap the benefits and still enjoy being human. Like that's the biggest thing, right? Being human and enjoying the life is key.
I don't think there's a better way to end the podcast. Bala, thank you so much for coming on. Yeah, no, very, very interesting. Thank you for your insights. We'll have your LinkedIn up on the show notes. Are there any other places that you want, people from the audience to reach out or follow what your thoughts are, what you're up to?
Yeah, I have a blog, but it's pretty not very well up to date maintained, but it's balamuthiah.com. It's on my LinkedIn too, I believe. That's a great place too, but always looking to chat with people and discuss ideas. The same point, right? Like you talk to people, discuss ideas. It's the only way to be humans. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, again, thank you so much for coming on. A real pleasure. And can't say enough. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Mark. Yeah. Have a wonderful one. Thank you.
Great. Well, thanks for listening to this week's Future Tech and Foresight podcast. If you like what you've heard here, there are, of course, a number of ways that you can support the podcast. The best way would be to leave a review on Apple Podcasts or give a rating on Spotify, which you can find a step-by-step explanation for on the futuretechandforesight.com website. Alternatively, feel free to leave a comment either on the episode show notes or the YouTube channel where you can see video recordings of the interviews. And finally, if you are part of an organization that is aware of the disruptive and transformational impact that emerging and future technologies will bring and want to know more, please get in touch to hear about the strategic foresight services that we offer and how we can help future-proof your organization and take advantage of the phenomenal opportunities available to survive and thrive in the future.
A lot of future-shocked people and future-shocked institutions in our society are simply overwhelmed.
Once there is superintelligence, the fate of humanity may depend on what the superintelligence does.
Science fact is catching up to science fiction.
The first truly intelligent machine will be the last invention that humanity needs to make.
The only scarcity that will exist in the future is that which we decide to create ourselves as humans.
Within a 10-year design revolution, we can have all humanity living the highest standard of living anybody's ever known.
Progress is accelerating at an exponential pace, and it's going to reach a point where progress is so fast it's going to be a singularity.
We are probably one of the last generations of Homo sapiens.
Every single headline points to the birth pangs of a Type 1 civilization.